98 degrees in the city of Detroit, Michigan. And today, you say, but Rekka, I do know exactly what my favorite guitar player used. I know exactly the amplifier he used, exactly the guitar he used, exactly the effects he used. And I went out and bought it, and I still don't sound like him. And I said, I know. And you said, but why? And I said, but we've been down this road already. But we're going to dive a little deeper today, okay? So, besides what I've said in previous videos, which you can take to the bank, here's another reason. First off, you don't know what board he used, okay? You don't know what board he used. And for that generation that doesn't know what a board is, here's a nice board right here. It's not a phenomenal board, but it's a nice board, okay? It's a nice Yamaha 24-channel mixing board, okay? You'll find them in every studio. Well, maybe not so much anymore, but in any of the good studios, you're going to find them. And in live performances, you used to find them. You don't find them so much more because it's the same thing, but everything's much smaller. We can do things off of a tablet or a phone, you know. Probably damn near do everything off an iPhone, right? So it's kind of cool in one way, and in other ways I think it takes away a lot. And I'll explain that too. So you don't know what board he used. To top that off, you don't know what the wonderful engineer did to dial in that awesome sounding guitar track, okay? All those frequencies, he dialed them in on the board because he's got his whole EQ on your channel or channels, however many you used. He's dialing in all those frequencies. Then you don't know how he dialed the gain in or didn't dial the gain in, to put the gain up, put the gain down on the microphones that he used on your cabinets. And you don't know what microphones he used, or where he mic'd the cabinets, or how many microphones he used on each cabinet, or maybe only one cabinet, whatever the case may be. These are all variables, okay? And then here's the real kicker. You don't know whether he used the dry signal or clean signal to just reamp his shit altogether and make him sound as good as he sounds. And that's why he's saying, just like I'm saying, I sound good. Because a studio producer, a good producer, can work magic, okay? And then here's the other thing. And now, look, you need to understand the world I'm coming from versus today's world. Okay, I'm coming from the world of tape, okay? Now, when my first demo that I made, it was the way you should do it. We went in, the whole band, and we captured the best live performance, which is the way you should do it. If you're any sort of band, that's the way you should be doing things, okay? And contrary to at least one man's belief, there are more than one microphone in the world. So everything gets mic'd, okay? And that goes for live performances or whether you're in the studio. Everything gets mic'd into the PA or into two channels, okay? That's the way it is. That's why mixing boards are so big, because shit, the drum kit might take up 12 channels, instantly take up 12 channels of that mixing board, okay? And everything gets mixed into the PA system. And that's how, now again, today's is completely different today. Most of these bands aren't even playing their instruments, but even, you know, back then they even had tracks back then playing. But anyway, it's a lot. I'm getting at is a lot different today than it was then, okay? But yeah, everything goes into. So my first record I recorded, we captured the band's best live performances, and we put that on a record. I don't remember if it was 4 or 5 songs or a demo, whatever you want to call it. The next one we did, we cleaned it up and we did the choruses, so all the choruses sounded the same, which to me made it just sound stupid. And I can show you some songs where it really sounds stupid. I mean, all the choruses sound exactly the same, which you would think is a good thing, and it can be a good thing. But you know, and yeah, you know, we've been in an era of recording tracks forever. Okay. Nowadays, the last 10 songs I've recorded were, hey, send me the track, I'll send you my guitar track. And that's how we've done it, okay? But even way before then, okay, when I did it, we did tracks. But then that's how some bands actually stayed together for a longer period of time, because they didn't have to see each other. You know, the drummer went in and did all the drum tracks, bass guitar player and did all his stuff, guitar player came in, did all his stuff, and then the vocalist came in and did all their stuff. They never even saw each other until it came to time to mixing, and then they got in a huge argument and whatever, you know, right? But so tape. What's coming off of that 2-inch tape and going on to that 1/4-inch reel sounds different, okay? And then look, and you haven't even mixed it yet, right? Coming off that 2-inch tape is not mixed. So now you're mixing. So now you've got that 1/4-inch tape, and it's a mixed version of your master, right? Which goes onto a cassette tape, which sounds different. Okay, so that's another reason why you still don't sound like the guy does, right? Because there's just all these variables that go into things. Now today, it's not like that, you know. Today's digital world, you know, what you record, you know, it pretty much sounds the same no matter what, until whoever masters it and whatnot. But which is good in some ways and bad in other ways. But yeah, any band worth their salt is still recording the best live performance possible. Meaning everybody gets in a room, everything gets mic'd up, and go. And that's how you record. Ask all them musicians down in New Orleans if they're going to do the drums first, or do the bass first, or what are they going to do first? The vocal first? Ask them, and they'll laugh at you. A lot of old school musicians down in New Orleans. A lot of old school musicians here right in Detroit. You know, they absolutely refuse to record that way, where record one track at a time and then go over it, you know what I mean? And like I said, in my opinion, any band worth their salt is you're capturing the best live performance, you know, because that's why these bands sound so good on record, going way back too, way back into the 70s. Band would sound great on the record, you go see them live and it was like, what the hell is this? You know, it's completely different, because they went and did all those tracks separately. So it's good for everybody that you just record the best live, capture the best live performance possible, and you put that out on the record, and you do what you do with it. But like I said, everything's bought and paid for no matter what. That is just a fact of life, man. I just watched the movie The Goonies. You guys remember The Goonies? And Nike shoes, K-Swiss for me right now. They were not as big as they are today, and you kept seeing the Nike shoes getting advertised in that movie, along with Prince, Purple Rain. The one kid wore a Purple Rain shirt because the movie Purple Rain was not gigantic. I mean, it was big, but it wasn't as big as it became. You know, that was a great movie. I love that movie. But again, everything's bought and paid for. Everything you see and listen to and all that good stuff, you're being sold something at some point. But yeah, I wanted to get at that today a little bit, because again, these are more variables that go into the process as to why, you know, your favorite guitar player, whether it's Zakk Wylde or Randy Rhoads or Jakey Lee or George Lynch or whoever, you know, you went out and bought the signature guitar, the signature amp, the signature pedal, or whatever. You went out and bought exactly, you know exactly what he used in the studio, and you went out and bought it, and you still don't sound like him. Well, part of it is obviously you're not him, but the bigger part of it, because there's guitar players out there who can sound pretty damn close to other guitar players. The bigger part of it is how it's being processed, you know, and how it's being recorded, how it was recorded and processed. Like I said, there's many of us out here that, you know, we think we're hearing whatever Marshall amplifier, and actually we're hearing some Fender amplifier or PV amplifier, and the guy that produced the album's laughing about it because he took the dry signal or the clean signal as it be. I understand maybe we shouldn't interchange those two, But you know, he took that clean signal and he reamped it into something else, and it sounds great. But that's the key, you know, having a great producer, you know, somebody that's on board with helping you make the best of your record, is a great thing, because they're there to help you sound great, and that's their job, and you do your job. You play your instrument and let them do their job, and you know, off you go, and you'll sound great every time. Anyway, a little bit more of that. I don't know where else we can go with this, but what else was there this week? Nothing that I can recall. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't know how much further we can go with these type of videos, but we'll see what's on the campfire for next time. And until next time, peace out. I know I have not even gotten into the Iran thing yet, and I probably will relatively soon.